Alright, so E3 2021.
Done and dusted.
Kind of a weird one, man. There's some... this is fundamentally different, I reckon, in so many... Well, naturally, because we're not there. But even if we're not there, a lot of people around the world would have still experienced E3 in just watching it online. But even still, this feels like such a different E3, do you know? Let's get into it. We want to talk about what we thought was good, thought was bad, just some general wrap-up of E3, since really it did finish yesterday, and all the announcements are kind of all done now, especially Switch Pro. That's been announced.
That was huge. That was huge.
huge.
If you missed that, stop the video, glad. Go Google it. It was
amazing.
Disappointing that it didn't get announced.
Yeah, pretty much. All this and more after the drop. Le drop?
Le drop,
LAMON,
yeah.
GAMON,
It's French.
Le drop.
It's French for the drop.
For the drop. So, first things first.
And the real ass.
Did you feel like this was different? Did you feel like this was a different E3?
Okay, so it was no different for me.
I was going to say, because you always watch it online.
I've never been to the E3. I mean, obviously the delivery is different, not being on a stage. I've always liked the stage press conferences. I've always liked, the crowd cheering, the crowd booing. It's a really good gauge of what people are thinking.
Yeah.
And it's kind of nice.
The comment section though, that's still there.
And it's just kind of nice to have, I don't know, that level of on edge of the presentation. There's a level of we're giving it this our all, except for Ubisoft or something when they do their dancing, and it gets a bit weird and cringy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I miss the stage shows. But for me as an E3 consumer living in Sydney, it doesn't really ultimately change that much for me. If anything, it's been more digestible.
You think so?
Yes, because I got the time to sort of sit back and chill. I haven't got all the tons of off stage videos, of gameplay footage. It's just what the publishers, first party and third party, are announcing, and that's it.
Yeah, I think
it's cleaner.
There's less of a mania to this one.
Yes.
E3 is kind of great, especially when you're there, when you've had barely any sleep, you're just watching and trying to consume as much as you possibly can. This one felt like it had the room to breathe a bit, and that's nice, I think. Especially when you have a full-time job or whatever, a lot of people don't have an entire week to just sit there and try and learn everything and watch all the conferences and watch all the Q&As and whatever, right? It's just fundamentally a different experience because it just felt like it was a little bit low-key out of necessity. So if the second question was, do I think if it was pulled off well, was E3 pulled off well?
We'll have to wait and find out.
I don't think it was the strongest E3 from the 4 years that I've been really engaged in E3. Would you say that was a really good E3?
I mean, no. It just
wasn't, right? It wasn't.
It's weird because I think, so as is always the case, for me, the first parties are always what I care about. I never care what Ubisoft's doing. I never care what Square Enix is doing. I never care what Capcom's doing.
FromSoft, though?
I'm happy for them to just announce that, throughout the year, release a trailer, hold a, give a press release. Oh, cool, you've got that new game coming out. Great, that looks good. I never actually really am interested in their E3 presences. But the big guys, the first parties, I really liked what they showed. I think Xbox had an amazing show. I think they've done incredible work on demonstrating the value of Game Pass, really investing into it, making it worthwhile. I am now at the point where I have a PC, I can play all these games anyway, but I kind of just...
a good chunk of them.
I kind of just want to have an Xbox in my living room.
You got my one.
Yeah, you got the shitty 1S handy down.
Which they've also announced today that there seems to be something in the realm of allowing you to stream next-gen games on that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a side thing. But I think you're right. The Xbox was really cool. I think that was probably one of the strongest ones. I also think that Jeff Keighley's one was actually, looking back now, it had Elden Ring, but I think the heart of what Jeff Keighley had was really important. I think E3 is all about heart. It's all about people getting up there and presenting. And Jeff Keighley kept that feeling there of Game Awards and E3 kind of melded together. I think he did a really good job, and I think he's really trying to carve his own path, against E3. And for the first showing that I've watched of, I know it was last year too, but it was kind of like the first year I kind of watched it, I guess. Maybe I did watch it last year, I can't remember. But this, I thought, was a good, it's a good entry into the market, I find. And I wish him the best of luck. And apart from that, Nintendo was pretty meh. We'll get into the best things we loved.
Nintendo?
No, in terms of we saw some good stuff, but it wasn't it wasn't a smash out of the park Nintendo. Especially on Twitter and stuff, a lot of people were like, yeah, it was a fine show, it was fine. It wasn't an amazing show. I would say that the general consensus out there is probably that Xbox did the best one here. Then we've got other ones like Gearbox. Oh my god, man, why even show up?
Cringe box.
It was genuinely embarrassing what they did. I didn't watch the Capcom one. I logged on pretty much the moment it finished, and because I wanted to just digest an article of everything that was shown. I was gobsmacked. I was looking for the next button to go to the next page of what else was shown. To have such a little showing from Capcom, why even have a presentation? And Gearbox, why even show up if you're just going to be sitting there meandering around, walking around, talking on set of the new Borderlands movie, then show one or two things, which is all disjointed. It was all
sucked ass.
It was so bad.
It was bad.
It was all so bad. So what were your standouts though?
Metroid. Metroid Dread. Every day of the week. I just love Metroid. I love Metroid. I said it in the last video and I'll say it again. Metroid Prime's my favorite game ever. I love Metroid. I love the Metroidvania franchise. It looks cool.
It does look really cool. And to see so much gameplay of a game that's just been announced compared to Breath of the Wild, Breath of the Wild 2 has been announced now for 2 years, and we saw more from Metroid Dread, and it's just been announced. I agree with you. I think that was the standout of the show. What about the other ones, in terms of Starfield? Did you like Starfield?
There's not much to like at the minute. There's not much to like at the moment.
2 years on, man.
As I said in earlier videos, I'm a bit tired of the Bethesda format. Just a little bit, Didn't really dig Fallout 4. I haven't played really anything since Skyrim. So I don't doubt that they can make good games, but they haven't really been speaking to me. I
don't think they're ever going to speak to you, but yeah.
They haven't really been speaking to me for a long time.
We're just trying to pick up your calls, man. What's going on? Come on, man.
No. So I'm optimistic, but sort of disinterested.
The thing here is
for now.
When you don't see, when something's announced years ago and they continuously show very ambiguous, not CGI-driven, non-gameplay trailers, I just feel like Cyberpunk's a bit like that, right? But I feel like if Cyberpunk didn't have all the glitches, graphically and world building wise, it probably would have paid off for a lot of people. We don't know what this is yet. I would feel like if they again did this next year with just more Starfield kind of weird, ambiguous trailers, I'd be like, come on now, you're taking the piss. So next year, hopefully we do see it.
Well, we've got 11/11/22.
That's what I mean. Well, we don't.
Yeah. Oh, you mean hopefully it's not delayed? Yeah.
Yeah. If it's not delayed, we should start seeing something hopefully relatively soon.
I'm so sick of the 2, 3, 4 year hype train for games. I don't think it serves the game very well. I don't think it does anything of any benefit to the audience or to the developers, to the publishers. Just work on a game in earnest, quietly. Tell me it's coming out in 6 months. And then release it.
Yeah,
I'm sick
of it.
With that. I'm so sick of it.
I think that Zelda. If we move on to Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 now, I think that's probably not a mistake that they've made, but that was announced 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's getting on too now, and I'm going to assume here that there's going to be a lot of reused assets, right? I mean, with a lot of
all of Hyrule.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? There's going to be a lot of stuff, a lot of reused enemies and this kind of stuff. Maybe again, I'm presuming here, but. How long is that development going to be? I don't know, right?
Well, it says it's next year. So Breath of the Wild came out 2017, so that puts it at a 5-year development cycle.
For something that was announced 2 years ago, and we're still seeing very small amounts of gameplay. I would not say that we saw a huge amount of gameplay from that.
No.
But if we were to continue on, Halo Infinite, did you really...
I thought multiplayer looks so good.
Multiplayer looks really good.
I will never forget the Christmas holidays. I was playing Halo 2. We just got Xbox Live on the OG Xbox.
So good, man.
I was probably in year 4. maybe year 3. It was probably the best 8 weeks of my life. I reckon it was the best 8 weeks of my life. I'd wake up, I'd have a fat bowl of cereal. I'd play.
Cereal's so good.
Yeah.
I don't have it anymore. I'm like too old and I put too much weight on
I just don't have it. But I'd have a fat bowl of cereal and I'd play Halo until dinner time. I did that for 6 or 8 weeks. 6 weeks. It was fucked.
Yeah. It
was the best time of my life. I'll never be that happy.
But anyway, it does look really cool. Halo Infinite multiplayer looks great. Still very light on the details for the actual campaign. We'll have to see. I think they're a little bit gun shy now from how it went down last year with Halo Infinite, so they really want to maybe show something else in the future. Quickly, also Battlefield 2042. That looks kind of cool. I'm going to check that out, but it's not a franchise that I love. And Avatar. I mean, that kind of looks cool, right? I guess.
Avatar's an interesting one. I think, like, Avatar, again, like, it doesn't really speak to me, but you cannot deny that game looked beautiful. You cannot deny that the setting of Avatar is so ripe for a great open world experience.
Well, we don't know if it's open world, but it looked like
it
looked like it was going to be open world.
It's Ubisoft, and that's the end of my point. Like, I think Avatar, Pandora as a world is so perfect for an open world format. But I just don't really like the fact that Ubisoft's doing it. I just don't like how they handle open world games. Speaking of things that look very different, Elden Ring. It looks very different to Souls games.
I think it... Well, look, it has...
I'm joking. It looks exactly like a Souls game, and that's why I'm excited.
Yeah, I would say that actually it looks like you're riding a horse around a lot. Is there a horse in other Souls games? I don't think so.
No, you just walk.
I think you just walk. So hopefully this
walk.
is going to be... You know, it's going to be different, of course. I mean, we're kind of memeing it up. Like, this is something I'm really excited for. I've gone back to play Sekiro and finish it now because I am so excited now for Elden Ring. Because I don't want to play Dark Souls 1 for the 8th time.
No.
I thought, it's time to put that down.
Yeah.
It's time to do something else. So I'm super excited for Elden Ring.
I think it looked great.
It stole the show.
Yeah, so, like, for me, Metroid is my game of the show, but... I'd say Elden Ring is the game of the show. If I can remove myself from the equation.
I know what you mean.
Like, I am most excited for Metroid, 100%. I just fucking love it. But Elden Ring is definitely the most important thing, I think. You can never speak objectively on these things, but I think Elden Ring's pretty much the biggest at this point. You got George R.R. Martin's involvement, the big daddy of Game of Thrones, even though it ended like shit, you cannot deny the gravitas of having him involved. From Software on going from strength to strength, they just keep winning.
Their last game,
to quote Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, their last new IP, Sekiro, I should say, not Demon Souls. The Sekiro won Game of the Year, 2019. So I think you're right, strength to strength. I think it looks fantastic. It's a perfect game to be showing in an E3 event that didn't have a huge amount of reveals.
Yeah.
So it really shone through. It was going to shine through anyway. As I said before, this felt like the Cyberpunk game in terms of 2018. Everyone was really excited for that game before it came out, and of course it was abysmal how it was actually presented. Regardless of that, the hype of it for Cyberpunk was massive, and Elden Ring is the same here, and this is like the game of E3. And I'm guessing it'll also be the game of next E3. Because it comes out after... Oh, no! It comes out before
January
E3.
21st, yeah.
Shit, yeah.
And From Software always stick the landing on their dates.
Good.
They never delay shit. So, I mean, it's the first time for everything. But usually they announce stuff when it's cooked. When they're just about to ice it. So, like, we're 6 months out. I'm so excited.
Dude, that is... I will take time off for that. Like, I'm so excited.
Time off, man.
Time off. To review the game. You know what I mean? No, like, I mean, like, you know, normal people that work jobs and whatever, like, they're like, oh, I can't come to work for 4 weeks, I'm sick. You know, like, that's what I'm so excited for that. That's going to be fantastic. But
so, look, I think on the whole,
did it feel good?
I think Preparation Day does feel good.
On the whole.
I think on the whole, it was, like, the first parties brought they brought it. How do I say that in a cool way? They brought the bacon?
I was picking up what they were putting down.
I was certainly picking up what they were putting down.
Okay.
The first parties.
You feel like it was pretty fetch?
It was fetch.
There we go.
First parties were fetch. Third parties were sketch. As in sketchy. No good.
I've never felt how old you feel as right now. You feel like an absolute adult. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that the first parties definitely... we're with it.
They were hip.
They were hip.
They were hip.
I think that
They were busting a move where the games are
I
played.
think they're pretty hip and they're pretty cool. I do feel like Capcom and Gearbox really were lame, man. They weren't very swell. You know, I think that
We're looking for groovy publishers.
we're real groovy publishers. No, but look, I think that those two especially.
Yeah.
Look, Gearbox was like, wow, man, that is really bad. And I think that they're going to have to go back to the drawing board and figure out how they do their next showcase without damaging their brand. Because that's no one's going to tune in. That's bad. And no one's going to tune in next year and be excited for whatever presentation they're going to have because it was so abysmal. I think.
I hope they do it again. I hope
They do because it's like the room now for presentations.
Yes.
You know. But all in all, it was still a fine E3, but it was probably the weakest I've ever experienced personally.
Well, we didn't experience it. It was online. So
Yeah, but like
that
you
makes
know,
sense.
but like we still experienced it.
But I think, lastly, I just want to make a point that I don't see. I think we've already discussed this in another video. I don't see E3 coming back to normal. I just don't see it.
I agree with you. I think that these publishers have obviously looked at the books, seen that not only are they saving money without having to create these huge spaces on a show floor, spend all this money,
staff there,
fly accommodation, food,
buy a booth, like
more than that, they control
everything.
They control the narrative.
Plus,
you know?
sorry, also spend developer resources on a demo build, building a demo to have on the show floor. There's just so much money involved in getting a booth at E3, having a stage presence at E3. I just don't see how it's viable for publishers.
I agree.
I could be right. I could be very wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I think E3 is fun, but I don't think it serves much of a purpose anymore.
How was E3? Like, I mean, this might be. Please, comment section, tell me why that they were. I don't see how E3 was a part of this. Like, each publisher could have just done their own thing.
Yeah, it was nothing but a logo.
Development studios could have done their own thing. I don't understand how E3 played a pivotal role in this, other than in terms of precedent, everyone knew that this was the week to show their game, so they were already getting things ready for this week. Apart from that, E3 could have not existed this year in terms of the ESA putting an event on, and no one would have noticed, man. It's you're right. If the pandemic is still around next year, or even if it's not, I think that there's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to see the same turnout for E3 next year based on how functional and how effective I think this is for publishers doing it fully digital.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, guys, that is it. We'll have to see what happens with next E3. That's all I got. Have a swell time, guys. I hope you were enjoying. You're picking up what we were putting down. And we'll see you guys next time.
Keep it real.
Keep it real, guys. Respect. Later now.